Okay, this should be live. Can anybody hear me? Is anybody there? Who's my one viewer? Hi, can you all hear me? I'm getting a good reception. One viewer. All right, let's see if we've got anything going on here. Any new notifications? Sure. All right, we have people who are coming. Anybody there yet? Can everybody hear me? No viewers. Two viewers. Hello, viewers. Can you hear me? Hello out there. Four viewers. Can anybody hear me? Three viewers. Am I just talking to myself? Who's there? Can you introduce yourself? Can anybody hear me? Am I just taping myself? I see some viewers, but nobody can see me. Is that the problem? Hey, three viewers. Can you say something? Can you try to chat? Can you see that I've chatted? I thought we fixed all this stuff last time. Six viewers. None of you are seeing, so you can all probably, I don't know who's there. Can anybody check in? Hello? I change my output. Built-in microphone. Built-in microphone. Should all work. I've still got 6 viewers. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Trying to figure out if somebody's trying to email me to tell me that that's what's going on. Have anyone chatting here? I see Alex says he can't interact. You don't see the chat box. You can see me, but can't interact. You don't have the ability to reply. Anna, you can't watch, but you can figure out how to get in. Great. So we're going through the same stuff we went through last time. This is not supposed to be happening. Let me call Tara and see what I'm doing wrong. Hang on a second. Because last time we were able to figure this out and make it work. At least I'll give you a visual image of me doing something. Because you should be able to just go into the group chat. You've all been invited. I shouldn't have to invite you again from this screen. If I understand things correctly. Hey Tara, it's Michael Fitzgerald. How are you? I'm well, except for we're doing this Hangout thing and nobody can participate again. So I wonder, do I have to invite people from the instance where I start the Hangout? Is it not enough just to do what we did to try to get people here? It should be a Hangout on air. So they can hear me and they can see me, but they don't seem to have a chat box and that's coming up, so they can't chat and they can't interact with me. Okay. So the chat would actually not be within the Hangout itself, the Hangout box. It would be on our page. Okay. Okay. But they're not going to be able to actually participate to speak. It's going to have to be done with me talking and then responding on the system, on the page. Sure. I think they can hear me. So they know that I'm checking with you. And we have got about 10 people here. So maybe Anna, etc. I see I'm able to see who's online, but this chat screen here is not ideal. So you're there, Anna. Michelle Donahue is looking to watch and learn. Alex is here. And I'm not sure who else is online, but if you wouldn't mind just checking in on our page and saying you're here, that's apparently where we're going to be able to do this. Again, not what I thought was going to happen, but right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Right. So if I post this link, then they'll be able to click on it and participate directly for the video hangout. So this doesn't do them any good at all. David Sheets is watching me have a phone call with you. Okay. Okay, so this is not what we wanted, but we'll go through with it this time, and then we will regroup and figure out how to get people so that they can actually also interact with me. I didn't quite follow that, sorry. Well, somebody actually has just now appeared on the same screen with me. So I think that actually clicking on that link is going to let some people in. so that they can also participate. That's my guess. Anna, can you click on that? And Alex, because I see Michelle now. Michelle Donahue is there, and her test, she's now also in the chat screen. So I see. So we have to, this last step is this thing has to get posted. And then the first 10 people should be able to actually participate. And I suppose we'll see if we can rotate. Okay. All right, Tara. I think we'll try to take it from here. Yeah, she clicked the link I posted on the SPJ page. All right. And it worked for her. Thanks, Tara. Bye. All right, so can somebody else also click on this? Because supposedly the 10 people, David, I'm going to have to hang, Bill, I'm going to have to hang up on you. Can you click on the link, though, that's underneath the picture on the main page? It should be a plus.google.com/hangouts, etc. So David and Anna and Alex and other folks who are here, Bill, you're there too in a new kind of hangout. Interesting. All right. So far, though, only Michelle is in this screen that I've got that sort of is the control screen. And again, we spent 12 minutes doing this. So here we are. Anna, have you not been able to do this? I've got 7 viewers here, so you all should be able to actually participate in this. Lynn can chat. So Hazel is here. There she is. Hi, Hazel.
Hi.
So did you have how did you get in, Hazel? There's Alex.
I finally found the link to clicks, and well, anyway, let's do the best we can this time.
Yeah. Well, it's a little better than last time. There's Alex.
Michael, it's Alex Veneman. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me? Lynn can chat. So Hazel is here. Okay, somebody's got an external speaker. Who is that? So did you get in, Alex?
I finally found the link to clicks, and well, anyway, let's do the best we can this time.
Yeah. Well, it's a little better than last time. There's Alex.
Michael, it's Alex Veneman. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're great. Okay, can you hear me? So yeah, if you haven't, we're getting this feedback because this is how Hangouts works if people are using too many speakers. Last time we got to hear, it was sort of like we were traveling back in time for a while during the call. Because people would say things, and then about 5 minutes later, you get to hear the whole conversation again. So what we found last time is, for the most part, if we could disconnect our external speakers, then it worked. That went away. So it was fine for Michelle and Hazel. And you've got, so it's David, Alex, or Anna. So yeah, if you haven't, we're getting this feedback because this is how Hangout works if people are using too many speakers. Last time we got to hear, it was sort of like we were traveling back in time for a while during the call. Because people would say things, and then about 5 minutes later, you get to hear the whole conversation again. So what we found last time is, for the most part, if we could disconnect our external speakers, then it worked. That went away. For Michelle and Hazel, we've got, so it's David, Alex, or Anna.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you haven't, we're getting this feedback because this is how Hangout works. Are you using these speakers? I don't know, David. You can try it. We couldn't quite figure out what was going on last time. This is going to be very interesting if we try to use this tool for the webinars. But let us go forth and see if we can have a conversation. I did not send out a very long agenda for this, but this is meant to be our meeting where people get to see a bit of how the business process works and what it's like. And I hope that it will encourage people to say, hey, we want to sign up to be community leaders in the freelance community, because it's time for our elections, for new elections to be, we're gearing up for new elections for various positions on the freelance community. So a chair, a vice chair, a membership coordinator, there's a couple of at-large positions, there's a secretary.
Okay, Michael, you seem to have gone away.
David, am I back?
Yes,
I'm back.
yes.
Okay. Alex, are you still getting a lot of echo?
There we go. I think I can hear you now, Michael.
Okay. There's Amy. Okay. So did you hear me talk about elections? Anybody?
Yes.
Uh-oh, hang on.
Okay. Well, David, don't mute me. At least not yet. Have anybody who's on this call, have you used Hangouts regularly or several times? Anybody?
No.
Okay. Well, this is apparently kind of what the experience is like, and unfortunately, from what I've been able to discern, from a video perspective, this appears. I think if you mute me, it makes me not talk anymore. You have control. So, so one of the things we need to think about, and I'd like feedback on, is whether we should just try to do Skype audio calls, for instance, for these conferences, because presumably we could get. There are currently 75 people who are signed up for the freelance community. There's 6 of us here. I hesitate, I shudder, in fact, to think about what would happen if all 75 people who've signed up for the community actually showed up for a Hangout, be it for this or for a Hangout on the resource guide or what have you, right? We need to have a way to present this stuff. I think ideally that's not just one way, but this Google Hangout seems to be the most effective tool, according to the folks at headquarters, at SPJ headquarters, and it's not great. Anna, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Thanks.
Ooh, Anna, hi.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah, so you're having the same thing. Well, you know, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 of us, 8 of us total. So you know, this is enough for us to have a good conversation, and we'll see what happens if a couple of other people show up. If we get to actually 10 or 12, it should support them being able to see things, but it may not support everyone being able to interact. So we'll see how this works. And maybe we can sort of, you know, keep an eye out for there. I'll try to keep an eye out on the main page as well. So which one of you is Lynn? Well, Lynn's not here. So anyway, I wanted to just go back to elections, and I wanted to say that, you know, the way that the community, when it was a committee, organized its leadership was effectively a small group of people who knew each other through EIJ conferences or what have you, and were freelancers, would say, oh, you know, we need to organize events, or we need to have someone who serve as in this position or that position, or would you be on the board and help us run the freelance group? So it was kind of it wasn't a backroom deal per se, but it was very much kind of I know somebody who knows somebody, and it affected our geographic representation, and affected the kinds of freelancers that we had. Most of the freelancers, for instance, were writers or text professionals. And you know, we have a pretty diverse range of membership, freelance membership, from what I can tell. You know, what we want to do is try to be more reflective of that membership. So I'm hopeful that by putting this process online in much the same way that SPJ elects its national board members, that we will be able to draw in more voices and a broader set of people to be on the board and to represent the freelance community and carry us forward. So I want to encourage all of you who are here to think about signing up for one of the positions online, so that we get some new blood in. I've been the president first of the chair of the committee and now the community for 2 years and then some. And I really think it's time for new people to come in and start to say, this is where we want to go as a community, these are the sorts of things we want to do, and get some new voices. So, as I said, I have signed up for the at-large, for an at-large position, and will run for that. And I'm primarily doing that because I want to see us as a community become represented in the national body in the same way that a physical chapter would be. We have even if there's just 75 of us, that's much larger than most of the physical chapters that exist in SPJ. And we should have a voice on the national board, and there's a process we have to go through with the bylaws committee to do that. And I'm interested in trying to shepherd that, and that's why I want to be on the board. But I'd love to see people who will run for some of the various positions that we have open. And I'd actually like to open the floor to questions, either through the chat window, or I think you should be able to speak once if you choose to do so. So does anybody have any questions about what is actually involved in being on the board, for instance?
Yes, what's involved in being on the board?
Well, it depends on what you're going to do. So I've been the committee chair, but before that I was the vice chair. And I think before that I was just like a general member. So I would say that if you are interested in glory, you should be president, and because it's a glorious thing. The main thing that you do is you need to organize. Typically, we try to do quarterly meetings where we try to get a quorum of board members together, and there are 8 of us currently, to talk about things that we care about as a freelance community, or things we'd like to do. So if you look at the resources that are on the SPJ website right now for freelancers, the resource guide that's up there was put together by members of the board who called in people that they knew with certain kinds of expertise about freelancing, the business side, contracts, how to pitch, and put together this guide. And so that was an activity that involved the board and members of the board, like David Sheets, for the better part of a year. There's also some videos that were put together by members of the board. So somebody basically wanted to drive a project, and the rest of us try to help support them. We also do things like organize. We've submitted for the last 2 or 3 years as a committee a freelance track for the national conference. And usually they don't give us a full track. Well, they don't give us a full track. They've given us 2 sessions each of the last 2 years. But we would organize. Some of us would get together and talk about, here's the ideas we want to see. Here's the sorts of things we think would make good sessions. And here's some people who would speak. And sometimes it's someone who has something to say and wants to organize a session. And so the board member will drive that process forward. That's another sort of function. The vice chair has some specific responsibilities. The vice chair is responsible primarily for our contribution to Quill, the magazine. So every issue there's a freelance toolbox column. That's organized and edited by the vice chair. Anna, what else is the vice chair typically done? We'll wait for a minute to turn off her microphone. Turn on her microphone.
Okay. There's the blog. I haven't been real up on the social media stuff. And then just some communicating with people about, doing those different things and getting involved and sort of communications type stuff.
Right. And ideally, really, I don't think that the vice chair should be handling all the blogging. I think they're, and I actually am primarily the one doing the SPJ Freelance on Twitter, at SPJ Freelance. You know, that is fine when I have time, but you know, when I go through a stretch like I've been going through where I've had a lot of work, I don't actually think about tweeting that much from my own account, let alone SPJ Freelance. So I think it would be better if we had somebody who was actually kind of focused on social media, a member of the board who was either an outreach type person or indeed social media, who wanted to kind of run with that. And you know, the commitment doesn't have to be every day, but you want to get somebody who's going to sort of shepherd this along and maybe get everybody on the board to contribute something. Anna's tried to do that with the blog, where we each take turns writing something so that there's at least some regular new content. So there's management stuff, right, that you run into in any kind of content business, or even in your own content business. How much time am I going to spend on social media? How much time am I going to spend writing a blog post? What kinds of issues really are important to me? Where can I find information on this? You know, the goal is for the SPJ Freelance community to be that resource for people. But we're in our very early days. We've got a lot of content still to build up. We have a lot of stuff to do. So I would say that from a time commitment, you know, you're looking at a couple hours a month, less than that. Does that seem right to you, Hazel and Anna?
For what? For which thing?
Well, you're actually probably spending more time than that, Hazel, because you've been working on the freelance resource guide. And I think when David put that thing together and got it launched, it was certainly taking him more than a couple hours a month. That's an unusually large project. And I'm just thinking about for the amount of time that I spend preparing for meetings, following up on meetings, doing the action items that come out of meetings, like trying to organize panel sessions, for instance. I think overall it probably runs 2 or 3 hours a month, I would say. But maybe you spend more or less time than that. Hazel or Anna, could you speak to that?
I spend gobs of time, but it's not fair to the rest of you to compare with that, because I'm mostly retired. I mean, you know, I'm doing this because I want it done, and because I like it, because I enjoy doing it. And I've also really enjoyed working with a couple of people on it that I haven't worked with before, and that, you know, so I think it depends on what your interests are and, you know, what kind of contribution you want to make to SPJ.
Yeah. Anna, you've got you've been doing a lot with shepherding the blog and and social media, and you take notes of the meetings. You know, you go to the national convention. Do you have a sense of how much time you spend typically?
I think it varies on depending on the project. Like if we're working on putting together sessions for the conference, then sometimes it takes a little bit to get a hold of people and brainstorm ideas for the session or brainstorm possible panelists or speakers. But in general, I think you're probably right. Just on a regular, like, monthly basis, it's probably a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours. Sometimes it takes a while to scour the web, trying to find things for the blog, or trying to find people to write blog posts and connect with people about that. But yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
That was my assistant, otherwise known as my 12-year-old. So, who's taller than I am, by the way. These things grow up. Anyway, oh, is my sound off again? No, when someone else's sound, yeah, it's, sorry. Yeah, it's going to vary, but the time commitment is certainly not on the level of a full-time job or a half-time job, unless you really want to get engaged with something. And to get the freelance resource guide off the ground took a lot of hours. Revising the freelance resource guide is also taking a lot of hours. So think about what you want to get done. As Hazel said, this is really about what you want to see happen, what you want to get done. I suspect that there will be some time commitment that I'm not. That's going to be more than a couple hours a month occasionally, if to deal with the bylaws stuff. But it's something I want to see done. So I'm willing to put in some of that time. But it's not like being president of the national organization. I think that's a lot more time, for instance, than being the chair of the community. So does that answer the question? Is that okay? Bill, right? Sorry. Mark. Sorry. You're on mute, so we can't hear you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that gives the gist of it. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Anybody else hear that noise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what it is?
Somebody's phone was ringing.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So and the other thing with the community is that a lot of this stuff it's not done in person. There's not travel time. If you run for president or chair of the committee, you really should go to the national conference, the EIJ, and there is an expense involved with that, and we don't raise dues as a freelance community, so we actually can't cover any costs. I've been able to finagle money from the local chapter where I am also involved and am the treasurer to be a delegate, and they'll cover some of my costs to go down. But it's not. There is that possible expense. That said, there are these ways to communicate online and virtually that are pretty effective. But just bear that in mind for certain kinds of positions. And if you tend to go to EIJ anyway, then that's more the better. Okay. That's all I wanted to say about elections for now, although I would actually like Alex, who is organizing the election process as the new community coordinator, to maybe say a few words just about how he sees the process unfolding, so that that might be a little clearer for people.
But he has to unmute himself. Uh-oh, Michael, you disappeared again. Your voice disappeared.
Come on. Okay, am I back? Oh, can someone unmute you? You should be able to unmute yourself, shouldn't you?
Oh, hang on. Yep, got it. I'm unmuted. I'm hearing a bit of an echo, so there may still be a delay in getting this. A little explanation. Last week, Dana Newts, the national president, appointed me community coordinator to help manage the communities. I'm also acting chair of the digital community, so we're also holding our elections at the same time, freelances. So basically, what I hope to do is, as these elections go ahead and come into place, I want to help ensure the freelance community has what it needs in order to function and in order to maintain its vital role within the SPJ and also supporting its members. The election. These are interesting times for the elections. So again, as I'm sure Michael has mentioned, but obviously I couldn't hear because of the echo, nominations are now going until the 31st of December, at which point membership will be verified, and then things will be finalized. You will then be able to vote for your candidate, for the person who you'd like, or you are indeed welcome to nominate yourself, and then it will be open to a community-wide vote. That being said, once that is in, if my memory serves me correctly, it'll be the third week of January. You will then get an idea of who it is and who will be leading the community. But what I'm going to do is I want to ensure that you all in the freelance community are able to have what you need. I am working with Dana and the national board to ensure the communities are managed and the communities are working efficiently. Indeed, if you have an idea for your own community, I am more than happy to help you with that. But yes, on the elections, it is a seamless process. The nominations are on the website. You need your SPJ member ID, and then if you get your paperwork in by the 31st, voila, you are in. You will be verified, and then you will be eligible for the community-wide vote.
Alex, I just wanted to ask, by paperwork, as I recall from going through the process, it's not like I need signatures supporting my running for office. It's really what I choose to upload and whatever I want to say about this is why I want to run and you should vote for me.
Yes, that is correct. The paperwork, when I say paperwork, I mean there's just a simple form you got to fill out. If you want to put up your resume, go ahead. If you want to provide letters of reference, go ahead. It's entirely up to you what you want to submit. But just if you fill out that form and you get it in by the 31st, you're in. And Michelle's just posted I think she just posted a link on the side there. So that will give you more information.
Great. And I suppose the obvious question will be, what happens if, in fact, we don't get a slate of candidates to run for every position? I don't know. Have you talked about this in your community, Alex?
Well, I've been thinking about this, and obviously it is still very early in the election. We've got like 3 weeks to go before everybody is due in, but I think what I might do for digital is I might just ask for volunteers if there are positions not filled either from within the community, or I may ask the wider SPJ membership if they're interested in getting involved. But I will approach, but as far as digital is concerned, I'm sure you will approach this as well once the elections are over. But as far as that is concerned, I think volunteers would be the best way to go about it.
Okay. My thought was probably along the same lines, but I'm curious about whether people who are here have some other thoughts or ideas.
Apparently not.
Feeling a little shy.
I'm sorry, were you asking a question?
I was actually. I was curious about whether other people had ideas.
I am really sorry. The echo's getting in the way here. I do apologize. Could you repeat the question?
So the question was whether we could get other people to. Yeah, there are just enough. Michelle is noting there are just enough people here to fill the whole slate. Exactly. Yeah. So by showing up, we could just sort of say, yeah, that's it. You're on the board. What we're trying to do is not have this happen, because I feel like, just from my experience over the last 5 years of being on the board capacity, that there was an element of, oh, you'll show up, great, let's put you on the board. And so we're certainly hopeful that we will see other people who are really fired up about some aspect of communications or what have you to join this, because it can be, for certain kinds of things, there's some real skill building opportunities for people. If you serve on the board and say you're involved in social media, maybe you're not known as a social media person, but then you can sort of point to, look, this is what I've done for this volunteer organization, this organization I volunteer for. I run their social media strategy. We've created, this much interest, had this many retweets, and you start to get some data for yourself that shows a potential employer, this is why I should get this job.
Absolutely.
And I want to just share a quick anecdote about Rebecca Baker, whom some of you may know is the Region 1 coordinator. She is convinced that she got a job as a managing editor at a publication in New York, a American Law Journal, I think, though she had never been an editor. And a big part of the reason why she got the job is because she was able to say, look, I've been running the Region 1 conference, Region 1 and its conference. And so I have a lot of management experience that I've drawn from there. So even though I haven't done it in my job, I've got this volunteer thing where I've been able to get this skill set together and develop my skills. So, these kinds of volunteer opportunities can be ways for you to develop a whole new set of skills that can open up new opportunities for you in the world of journalism or life. So do think about that. And with that, I think I've said all I have to say about elections. If there are no objections from the floor, I'd like to move on to our next topic. And that would be the resource guide. Hazel, can you give us a quick update on where we are with the resource guide, please and thank you.
Sure. Well, there is on the freelance community homepage in the message board a recent posting of mine which gives you the link to the draft of the online version of the guide. It is not complete in any way. David, forgive me, I have not gotten to transforming all of it onto the HTML format, but we are working on that. I have been the primary editor. I've written a little bit, but not very much. And Ruth Fowler Carter is the editor of me. And I'm hoping she'll be able to continue to do that. She's had some family health stuff going on, so which is probably why she isn't here today. But I've just asked Stephanie Overman to write about employee benefits, which is her focus. And I have other topics in mind. Oh, by the way, Ruth, speaking of Ruth, Ruth is also going to write stuff about marketing and websites and those kinds of things. She'll take the material from the old guide and use what she can from there, and then prepare whatever else. The first section of the guide, once it's all complete in a year or two, should be called Freelancing 101, and some of the materials from the current guide are going to go into that section, and Ruth is going to write the introduction to that section, and so we should have something in that section as well. I think that our members need for us to get on to some of the nuts and bolts of freelancing. That we really need to have discussions of pitching, of writing query letters or query emails, of how to figure out where you should be selling your stuff, of how to diversify your client base, a lot of those kinds of topics. And so I'm hoping that if any of you have something that you're really good at or something that you really think should be written and would let me know, or would volunteer to write.
In this committee thing right now.
Okay. So that would be good. And Michael, I won't put you on the spot here in the meeting, but I do have a topic that I think that you know about a lot. So I'm hoping that it would be a fast and easy thing for you to write as well, once you're not president anymore.
You're down about 3.
Okay. So thank you, Hazel, for that. And I want to use that as a segue into talking about webinars. We talked last time about organizing a webinar, perhaps around pitching. My question to you is, could we possibly, do you think we could set it up so that, you know, as we're posting new sections of the resource guide, we do a webinar around the topic that we're posting or the section that we're posting?
If somebody is available to lead webinars on these topics, I think that would be good. But a lot of what we are doing right now is redoing stuff that, you know, just posting the stuff that's been written before. And I don't have contact with a lot of the other authors. Some of them are you guys. In some cases, it should be fairly easy to get in touch with people. But webinars are not my forte. They're not my primary thing. So it's going to be hard for me, in other words.
Okay. Well, if we're doing something like this that is run through SPJ Freelance.
Wait, look what what Amy just posted. She said she would love to help be involved with coordinating development of webinars.
Yes, and I think that's great. So we have.
Bye, Amy. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think that's the other thing we can do is, I mean, you could, in fact, do an overview webinar on the resource guide if you were comfortable doing it. But I think it would be more effective to do individual topics. And I would like to actually say, and if we do one of these a month, does that feel like it's enough?
I guess I'm questioning, Michael, a webinar. Certainly, if this is going to be the venue, then I don't think this works very well for webinars. But I think if we just had a discussion chat like we were talking about, to just talk about pitching or to just, ask people what problems. Our DC Freelancers group met yesterday, and we had people again come in with issues that they're facing right now in their businesses that they wanted to talk about. I think that kind of hangout once a month is a great idea, because I think it would get people involved with, more of us involved with each other, and I think that's what makes a community.
So are you doing that, though? Are you thinking about doing it in an audio conference format, particularly if you're not happy with this format?
I think this format would lend itself very well, if we could master the software a little bit better, would lend itself very well to that kind of, where we're having a lot of give and take. A webinar, I think, is a presentation. Now, maybe that would be better for this software. I don't know.
Yeah, I do what you're saying.
Yeah, not my forte.
Right. I think, and what I was really referring to was sort of a hangout around the idea of here's how to query. We might, or here's how to do.
Yes.
Especially if you've got one person who can lead the discussion. I've been toying with the idea of organizing a year ahead kind of hangout, where maybe we would get. I can't figure out actually who you would bring in to talk about here's what the year is going to be like for freelancers, in part because freelancing is such a diverse thing. I want to know about the magazine market, somebody else wants to know about photography, another person wants to know about video, a fourth person wants to know about, well, what's the market going to be like for freelance editors, and a fifth person wants to know about corporate content.
Well, how about, instead of approaching it from we're going to present it, how about approaching it from a perspective where people are going to come in and talk about what they see in their own markets?
And instead of doing one, do a series, or have everybody talk for 5 minutes?
Have everybody talk for 5 minutes, do give and take. Depends on who shows up. If we know, if we knew ahead of time that 10 specific people would be there, then we could plan it a little bit better. But to me, a hangout doesn't have to be planned. It can be more organic.
Sure. We should have you think we should have a set time, though, with like once a month? We're going to have a hangout. Show up. Let's talk about our issues.
Sure.
Have a cup of coffee.
Sure. That's what our DC Freelance group does. We have lunch once a month and talk about whatever anybody's facing right now. One time somebody needed to get money from England and didn't know how to, didn't understand about how PayPal deals with it, or didn't want to pay the fees to PayPal, or didn't, So it just depends on what you're facing right now. That's right. What's, I think, really valuable to people.
Other thoughts, other voices?
Yeah, I actually think webinars are a good idea. Amy mentioned that she'd be willing to help with that. I talked to her on the phone a while back, and she's very well versed with webinars. She's done a whole bunch of them in her official capacity in her job. I don't see why to do a mixed group chats that are a little bit more chatty and social, and webinars that are a little more on the educational side and have a little bit more, have an extended lifetime that people could go back to.
I actually think they're two separate things, Anna, don't you?
Yeah, I think those are two separate things.
I don't want to overload the schedule so that people think, oh, this is going to be a nuisance to get in touch with these SPJ people so often. But, certainly it would broaden the base of who can participate by having more of them. I think Michelle should run with the. Was it Michelle or Amy? Sorry, I think Amy should run with the webinar thing. I know other people want them. I know other people would be happy to do them.
Well, it seems like it could just be done by saying, it doesn't have to be a member of the board even saying, there's a webinar that's going to happen on the third Thursday of every month or what have you, and whoever, or a hangout, and just show up and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. It seemed to me like these are the sorts of things that could be driven by more or less any individual in the community. That might be too chaotic. That might prove too chaotic, but it would be. We're at a stage where there's only 75 of us, so it wouldn't be that chaotic if we wanted to just say, set this thing up and let's see who shows up for these things.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, maybe I will start by plunging in on my. Here's what the year ahead brings, and I'll just schedule it and see who shows up. Well, this URL thing is a bit of a pain in the neck, but I think we can make it work. This has been much better than last time. So, okay. All right. So I think that we've only got about 10 minutes left. I don't want us to go more than an hour, and we have two other things. One other thing to cover, and then Polly should have at least a little bit of time to talk about other things that are on people's minds. And so the one other thing that we have to cover is, so the Excellence in Journalism Conference is officially looking for content, tracks, sessions for the next conference event. We have, as a group, organized sessions the last couple of years. Do people have an interest in having us, again, organize a potential track of sessions on freelancing for the next EIJ?
I would say so.
But you're not eating a sandwich.
Right. I'm not eating a sandwich. I'm free to talk.
I wish I had a sandwich. So, okay, so
I like going to them, Michael. In answer to your question, I like going to the sessions,
right.
but I personally don't want to organize any.
Yeah, well, the last couple of years, I've ended up doing almost all the organizing for them, and I would love to see some other. I've gotten good feedback, so it's not like I'm coming up with these things out of whole cloth, just on my own. But I'd love to. I think we could put this on the website, on the community site, and say, hey, this is what we need to do, or this is what we have the opportunity to do. Here's our deadlines. Let's get some ideas going and say these are the sorts of things that we want to see at the conference, that we would go to a conference to see. That feels to me like that would be an appropriate thing to do. We haven't done it before. Does anybody see any reason why we shouldn't do it that way?
No, I think it's good.
Okay. I will put it up there on the community boards. How many people go to the community boards of the folks who are here and can comment? Who's ever been to the board?
You know I do.
I know you do. I'm there.
I've been to it. It goes into my inbox in a really weird way, so I don't find it until I remember to click on the email blast to go to that folder. So it seems like it's always, tardy. I'm tardy.
Yeah. Nonetheless, some of these topics kind of go on for a while. Is anybody who's on this chat never been to the board and willing to admit it? Okay, so we'll try the board.
I've been to the board maybe once or twice and haven't thought to go back. I'll admit to being an underuser.
They're nascent, and they're never going to be for everybody. I'm also in the ASJA, which has a pretty active set of forums,
right.
And I used to go fairly regularly, and I haven't gone in a couple of years. Oh, that's great, Alex. Because I think digital freelancing would be an area that we haven't really done much with as a session, and so that would be a good one, potentially. All right, I'm just looking for some feedback. So we've really got about 5 minutes left. I want to stop talking, and I want to hear from people about things that they have questions about, or they want to know why we're not doing, whatever. And by the way, those of you who are viewers, because there are people we can see and there are people we can't, if you click on that URL that is on the page, on the SPJ page, you can actually also participate in this chat and conversation, because there's plenty of room. Okay. Well, if there aren't any more comments, I think that this has been a good... You're not sure, Alex? Oh, you're not talking to me. Okay, so this has been a much better session than the first time we tried the Hangout, and I do feel more comfortable now with the idea of trying to organize regular informal Hangouts using this tool to see who comes. You know, we had at one point 17 people between those of us who had clicked on the link to be in this video format and those of us who were just watching, but not able to participate. Which
Today we had 17?
Yeah, at one point.
Cool.
We had 8 or 9 of us who were here in the little video screen, and then we had 8 viewers. So right now we have 4 viewers, and then there's the 6 of us who are able to participate. So that's not bad. That's a decent group, and it makes me feel like we could use this tool to have some Hangouts, because I suspect that if you can get 10 to 12 people to show up for our Hangouts, that's pretty good. And as Anna notes, that's 12% of our total community membership right now.
Not bad.
Not bad representation.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been great. Let's start posting things we want to see happen on the board, and do really think about running for office for the community, so that we have a full slate of candidates, and we can continue to kind of advance our own causes as a group. So thank you all for being here, and thank you, Alex, for coming in and being our special guest. And we'll see you all online.
Thanks, Michael.
All right.
Thank you.
Michael.
Bye-bye.
Get out of here.